Hey there, horror fans and King enthusiasts. Welcome to this deep dive into one of the most chilling villains in literary history, Pennywise the Dancing Clown, or as we really know it, the entity simply called It. If you're like me, you've probably stayed up way too late reading Stephen King's massive tome, It, or binge watching the movies, wondering just what the heck this thing is. Where did it come from? What's its deal with that creepy clown getup? And most importantly, how do a bunch of kids and later adults manage to take it down not once but twice? Today, we're peeling back the layers of this cosmic nightmare in a way that's going to blow your mind. This isn't just a quick recap. We're going all in, exploring its origins, powers, weaknesses, and ties to King's broader universe. Grab a snack, dim the lights, and let's float down here together. But let's start at the very beginning, because to understand Pennywise, you have to go back, way back, before humanity, before Earth as we know it, even before our universe clicked into existence. You see, Pennywise isn't some run-of-the-mill monster cooked up from a bad dream or a twisted fairy tale. No, it's something far more ancient and otherworldly. According to the lore in King's novel, it hails from a place called the Macroverse. Now, what the heck is the Macroverse? Imagine our entire universe, the stars, planets, galaxies, all that infinite space, as just a tiny bubble in a much larger, unknowable void. That's the Macroverse, a realm beyond reality, filled with concepts and entities that our puny human brains can't fully grasp. It's tied to what King calls to darkness in his Dark Tower series, this endless, crawling emptiness, where light and form don't play by our rules. In the book, it describes itself as eternal, the eater of worlds. It's not just bragging. This thing is billions of years old, maybe older than time itself. King draws heavy inspiration from Lovecraftian horror here. Think eldritch abominations that drive you mad just by looking at them. But King adds his own spin, making it a personal, intimate terror rather than some distant cosmic blob. So how did this interdimensional freak end up in a small town in Maine? Well, picture this. Millions of years ago, during what we'd call prehistoric times, a massive cataclysmic event rocked the planet. It wasn't just any asteroid impact, it was it crashing down like a fiery harbinger of doom, landing in the spot that would one day become Derry, Maine. The impact was so devastating it probably wiped out local life, but it survived, burrowing deep underground to slumber and wait. Why Derry? King never spells it out explicitly, but the implications are clear. Derry is built on a nexus of evil, a thin spot in reality where the Macroverse bleeds into our world. From the moment settlers arrived in the 1700s, it began its cycle. It hibernates for about 27 to 28 years. Why that number? Maybe it's tied to some cosmic rhythm like a twisted lunar cycle or the orbit of an unseen planet. Each awakening starts with a bang, a violent tragedy or disaster that shakes the town. Think mass murders, unexplained suicides, freak weather events. In the novel's interludes, those historical flashbacks narrated by Mike Hanlon, we learn about Derry's bloody past. For instance, in the early 1900s, there was the Kitchener Ironworks explosion during an Easter egg hunt, killing 88 kids and 102 people total. Flames everywhere, chaos, and in the midst of it, witnesses swear they saw a clown. That's it, stirring, feeding on the fear and pain. But let's go deeper into its cosmic roots. In King's mythology, it wasn't just randomly spawned, it's the creation of a higher power called the Other, or Gan, the ultimate creator in the Dark Tower universe. Gan made everything, including opposing forces for balance. On one side, there's Maturin, the turtle, a benevolent guardian who's basically the good guy counterpart to it. Maturin is one of the 12 beam guardians that hold up the Dark Tower, the axis of all realities. Legend has it Maturin got a stomachache and barfed out our universe, stars, planets, the works. It calls Maturin its brother, but there's no love lost. They're eternal enemies, creation versus destruction. In the book, it sneers at the turtle, calling him old and lazy, even claiming he choked on a galaxy and died. But is that true? Maturin appears to Bill Denbrough in a vision, guiding him with wisdom like, "He who made the lamb made thee," a nod to Blake's poetry. The turtle represents order, while it is chaos, the eater that devours worlds. Some theories in King's fandom suggest it might be one of the 6 greater demon elementals, or a twinner, a doppelganger from another level of the tower. There's even speculation that it could be related to the Crimson King, the big bad from the Dark Tower, maybe even its offspring. King has joked about Pennywise and Randall Flagg, another recurring villain, being the same entity, but that's probably tongue-in-cheek. What we know for sure is that it's not alone in its species. In the novel, when the losers confront its spider form, they discover it's pregnant. Eggs everywhere, black and slimy, with one hatching a baby spider. Imagine that. More it's out there, potentially spawning across universes. Chilling, right? This ties into King's multiverse, where horrors like it leak through thin spots, influencing places like Derry or Castle Rock. Now, fast forward to human history. Derry's founding in the 1700s was marred by disappearances. 91 settlers vanished, leaving a bloody trail to what became 29 Neibolt Street, its favorite haunt. Over centuries, it shaped the town's dark underbelly. The Bradley Gang massacre in the 1930s. Townsfolk gunned them down, but witnesses saw a clown in the chaos. The Black Spot Fire in the 1960s, burning a nightclub and killing many, again, clown sightings. It's not just killing, it's orchestrating Derry's apathy. Adults forget, investigations fizzle, and the cycle repeats. Why kids? Their fears are pure, easy to shape. Adults' fears are muddled by logic, but kids believe in monsters under the bed, making them tastier prey. It doesn't eat flesh primarily, it feeds on fear, salting the meat with terror for flavor. Partial bodies left rotting in sewers? That's the aftermath, not the meal. In the adaptations, the 1990 miniseries with Tim Curry and the 2017 to 2019 films with Bill Skarsgård, the origins are streamlined. The movies drop some Macroverse depth, focusing on it as an ancient predator that adopted the Pennywise form after seeing a real clown. In the novel, it killed a human Bob Gray and stole his identity. Films make it more ambiguous. But the essence remains. It's not from here, and Derry is its feeding ground. All right, let's shift gears to its true form. What does this thing really look like? Spoiler, you don't want to know. On Earth, its closest physical approximation is a giant female spider lurking in the sewers beneath Derry. Massive, pregnant, with orange eyes and hairy legs. Think Aragog from Harry Potter on steroids, but way grosser. When the losers face it as kids, they see this arachnid horror, and Ben Hanscom crushes its eggs to prevent more spawn. But that's just our minds trying to make sense of the senseless. Its real form? The Deadlights. An endless, writhing mass of orange light, crawling and hairy, existing in an interdimensional plane. Glimpsing it drives you insane. Eyes roll back, catatonia, or worse. In the book, Beverly Marsh sees it and nearly dies. Audra Phillips, Bill's wife, ends up comatose. Richie Tozier gets a peek and has visions. The films show it as glowing lights and fleshy walls, hypnotic and deadly. Pennywise the clown? That's just a mask, chosen because clowns lure kids with fun but scare them subconsciously. Silver suit, orange pom-poms, white face, red hair tufts, balloon holding, it's iconic. But it shapeshifts constantly. A leper for Eddie, a werewolf for Richie, Georgie for Bill. Each form is personalized, pulled from the victim's subconscious. And get this, it can be in multiple places at once, projecting illusions or splitting forms. Energy expenditure matters. Big changes tire it, especially if injured. Speaking of powers, oh boy, where do I start? It has lower-tier omnipotence, immense power but not absolute. Only Maturin matches it, Gan surpasses. Let's break it down. First, shapeshifting. It becomes anything, human, animal, hybrid. Transitions involve orange goo like melting wax. Limitations? Tied to the observer's fear. If you're not scared, forms weaken. Examples. As the Paul Bunyan statue, it attacks Richie. As a giant bird, it dives at Mike. In the book, 32 forms total, from universal monsters to cookie fortunes birthing nightmares. Telepathy. Reads emotions, memories. Not always thoughts if you're brave. Uses this to taunt, whispering to Henry Bowers, implanting ideas. Communicates mentally across distances, like to Richie in the library. Mind control, possession. Dominates wills, making Derry blind to horrors. erases memories, induces apathy, possesses bodies like Norbert Keane to scare Eddie, influences groups for lynchings or fires, illusions, creates sensory tricks, smells, sounds, sights, blood gushing from sinks, only victims see it, can make illusions physical, harming you if believed. Seeing through them dissipates power. Invisibility appears selectively. Kids see it, adults don't unless targeted. Telekinesis moves objects, locks doors, warps space. In battles, floats bodies or bends gravity. Psionics traps souls in deadlights for eternal torment. Causes psychic storms, nearly destroying Derry. Chlorokinesis kills plants in leper form, minor but creepy. Weather control summons storms during confrontations. Teleportation zips around Derry but can't leave. Derry is it is Derry. Superhuman strength, speed, rips limbs like paper, faster than trains. Tears Georgie's arm off effortlessly. Invulnerability, regeneration. Heals rapidly but varies by form. Not truly physical. Conventional weapons fail unless believed potent. And more, possession of animals, insects, reality warping in lair, inducing hallucinations. It expends energy feeding or fighting, weakening during hibernation. Now weaknesses? Thank goodness it has them, or we'd all be floating. Courage and heart. Fear empowers it. Bravery starves it. United wills, like the losers, create psychic bonds, overpowering it. The Ritual of Chüd. A tongue-biting, joke-telling battle of wills where you lock onto its tongue, essence, and pull it out. Losers use it twice, wounding it severely. Belief: if you believe silver hurts werewolves, it does when it's in that form. Eddie's inhaler as battery acid burns it. Mockery shrinks it. In films, taunts reduce it to a baby, heart exposed for crushing. Form rules: must obey the laws of its shape, vampire weak to stakes, etc. Hibernation, vulnerable when sleeping or healing. Superior beings, Gan or Maturin, could destroy it. Turtle guides losers symbolically. Underestimation, narcissistic, it scorns humans, leaving openings. In adaptations, weaknesses are visual. Fear overcoming leads to physical diminishment. Connections: to Dark Tower, Macroverse, Dash, Beam Guardians. References in Tommy Knockers, Clown and Sewers, Dreamcatcher, Pennywise Lives Graffiti, Gwendy's Final Task, Clown Stalking. It is Demon Elemental, Crimson King's Kin. Fan theories abound. Differences, novel cosmic, films grounded. Miniseries Curry's Pennywise campy, Skarsgård's feral. In conclusion, Pennywise is fear incarnate, a cosmic bully defeated by heart. Thanks for joining. Subscribe. Comment your theories.